Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
You know, they still need Kelsey to beat Kelsey at times. I think they will baby him again. He won't be out there for 70, 80 plays. He's going to be out there for 55 plays, somewhere in that range here to keep him healthy as the season goes on here. So we have to keep that in mind as well. Plus the backup tight end there, he has some big games as well. So I think Kelsey is still very usable, but I think what you want to be careful about is you don't want to draft the name anymore.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
What do you say? Little game time decisions with you on this Wednesday night on SportsGrid. I'm Kevin Walsh. Next 90 minutes, we got plenty to follow, and it may include some big-time trades in Major League Baseball. We just had one go down within the last 5 minutes where the Philadelphia Phillies are bringing in Johan Duran from the Minnesota Twins. It has been discussed, would Minnesota move on from one of the more impactful closing pitchers in the bigs, and that is exactly what's going to happen here. The Philadelphia Phillies have needed to get themselves a reliable closer. Duran on the season with 16 saves, basically a flat 2 ERA, which was just bumped up a little bit because he did give up a run in his most recent outing against Boston. It's a team in Philadelphia who are looking to continue to hang neck and neck with the New York Mets atop that division. The Mets are 3 outs away from entering a series against the San Diego Padres on a 7-game winning streak, where they are now, again, 3 outs away from being swept. The Phillies have already dropped the game to the White Sox in this series and are losing heading into the top of the 4th, but a win here for Philadelphia, I believe, would see them actually finish today in first place atop the New York Mets. Those teams also competing not just for first place within that division, but a really tight race atop the National League for a spot in the postseason. So, for home field advantage, in the NL. So all things for us to keep our eyes on, and I wanted to get to that right off of the top. And, you know, since we're talking about spots in the postseason, my preseason World Series pick, the Cincinnati Reds, were in the news today, bringing in Brian Hayes from the Pittsburgh Pirates. It's nice to see that Cincinnati has not given up just yet. They are currently 3 games back of a wild card spot with the Padres, the red-hot San Diego Padres, sitting in front of them. We still wonder, will Dylan Cease be moved on from San Diego? What other moves could be made? But Cincinnati today will play with an opportunity to keep something that is really improbable going, which is that the Cincinnati Reds have not been swept all season. And you might think, is that impressive? Yes, it is. They were one of only 3 teams that made that true, I believe, heading into June. It was the Reds, the Mets, and the Yankees. I think the Mets and Yankees were swept like the same weekend. Yanks by the Red Sox. I can't remember off the top of my head who the Mets were swept by. Reds are still going strong. Dropped the first game to the Dodgers. Dropped the second game to the Dodgers. Well, now all they got to do is beat Shohei Ohtani to avoid the sweep. This is a spot the Reds have been in already 5 times this season. Obviously, there have been a number of series where they've only won a game because that's why this team doesn't, have 60 wins on their plate right now. But where they were going into the final game and the Cincinnati Reds needed a win to avoid a sweep, they are 5-0 in those spots. 5-0. I think they can make it 6-0. I like my chances tonight with the Cincinnati Reds at a plus 140 price. It's a spot play. I don't mind backing Nick Martinez at home for this Cincinnati team. I think he can be strong enough. And I'm also, I still struggle a little bit with the pricing of these Ohtani starts, right? I think the books do as well. Shohei Ohtani's first 2 starts, an inning in each. He ramped that up then to 2 starts of 2+ innings. Now he's given us 2 straight starts of 3+ innings. But I'm not entirely sure that we're going to see Ohtani give you 4 tonight. I don't know if you'll see Ohtani give you 3 because he still has to be clean through the starts. And listen, overall, he's, of course, been really good in the 12 innings that he's pitched so far. I don't think we should forget that it is just 12 innings, though, so far. I still, and I know I am talking to a wall at this point, I still don't agree with how Ohtani is being priced in the MVP market. I just don't. Call me crazy. That's fine. But there are, at the moment, 4 National League players with a higher wins above replacement than Shohei. Now, 3 of them are pitchers. But PCA is well out in front of Ohtani as it pertains to wins above replacement. I mean, well out in front. Now, you ask yourself, why is that, right? Ohtani is a DH. I know last year he was able to win MVP as a designated hitter. I think the field was depressed. He also stole 59 bases. I remember getting into arguments with our team, and listen, I'll bring these up because they catch me sometimes on baseball stuff. But they're like, oh, Ohtani's still on pace to have a 6 steal season. He'll clear 40, no problem. Clock's ticking. He's at 13. Clock's ticking. He's not been anywhere near as impactful offensively this season as he was last. It's not close. The offensive war in the National League, there are 6 guys at a 4.2 or better. Ohtani is tops at a 4.5. PCA, 4.4. Soto, 4.3. His own teammate in Will Smith, 4.3. Kyle Tucker, 4.2. And Ellie De La Cruz, a 4.2. Schwarber and C.J. Abrams are at 4. If you want to know where Kyle Schwarber is his home run pop is now getting him involved in this conversation a little bit. It's like, oh, but Ohtani's pitching. He has pitched 12 innings. I get it's impressive, but are you telling me that Ohtani's 12 innings are more impressive than PCA being the best defensive player in baseball? That's ridiculous. That's not true. We have metrics that can tell us whether or not that's true. It's not true. And I am not telling you that Ohtani shouldn't be favored to win this award. Minus 2,300, though. I still struggle with it. I do. I'm playing the Reds in this game. Our crew involved with it tonight. We've got Preston involved, and he's going to go for an Ellie swipe at plus 245. Not mad at that. Ellie De La Cruz feels like a guy to me. At some point, this guy's going to win an MVP award. It's not going to be this year, but that's part of the reason I'm involved with Cincinnati high level, because I believe in the star power that Ellie brings to the table. AJ plays under 9.5 A's Mariners. I'm glad he did it so I didn't have to. I just feel I can't play totals anymore in Sacramento. I just can't do it because I tried to step up over style last night. You know, Luis Severino's back to tossing gems. Can't get it right. I've tried to play unders before, and that's just when this ballpark gives out. I believe I did it in a Brian Wu start. I think maybe he was going against Severino, so this park's giving me trouble. My best bet tonight comes from the WNBA slate. Sabrina Ionescu and the New York Liberty have a finals rematch on their hands against the Minnesota Lynx, but no Breanna Stewart. Sab steps up. We'll talk more about that game and the rest of the baseball slate next right here on Game Time.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
All right, back right here on SportsGrid. The Major League Baseball board right now just introduced Guardians Rockies, so we get another game between those two teams. Phils did take that lead back off the White Sox. They put two across in the top of the fourth, so that is now 2-1 Philadelphia. We've had a lot of games go final today. I mentioned where I'm at in the Reds game. I'm going to play the Reds. I'm going to say that they don't get swept again. There were two other plays on the baseball board, and then we're going to get into the W. I played 12-plus Ks combined for Soriano and Eovaldi in the Angels-Rangers game. Soriano, to me, is just kind of in one of those breakout spots. He's someone who occasionally pitches these gems. It's one of the attractive things about being able to back Soriano occasionally. And he can easily give you 7, 8, 9 Ks. He really can. He can hit double digits. And Evaldi's just been awesome this year. And he's getting, I feel, better and better. And he's in that groove. Plus 110 for 12 combined Ks. You can get that on DK. I thought that was worth a play. My favorite bet on the baseball board tonight, it's the Miami Marlins team total over 3.5 at minus 130. I did not think that was too expensive because I saw minus 146 in other spots. Miles Mikolas, clear and obvious sell spot. A scoreless 5 his last time out. The go-around before that, he gave up 5 earned. Why? Because the go-around before that, he had a scoreless 5 2/3 against Washington. I do not think that Miles Mikolas, basically, since we've entered into June, is a guy you can bank on to give you reliable start-after-start stuff. And I think this Marlins team has way too much juice to not plate 4, maybe 5, 6 tonight. At minus 130 for 3.5, it was a play I had to get involved in. That's where we're at on the baseball board. The WNBA tonight steps up with a couple of good ones, okay? But the best one is easily Lynx Liberty. You could have absolutely argued its spot as a main event. If Breanna Stewart was healthy, it probably grabs that spot for us on the show tonight. And I'm involved, and maybe I should have, I'm almost having a moment of clarity. Maybe it should have been Lynx Liberty. Because I'm betting this game multiple times. And I feel like that's something like you play Monday Night Football. It's like, yeah, I got 4 or 5 picks in Monday Night Football. I'm involved here, double style, with Lynx Liberty. It starts with the Sabrina Ionescu 20-plus points. Minus 108. I think that Sam tonight can get you the 30 that everyone was expecting when she went and played Dallas just a game ago. Because Sab, without Stewie, steps up. Against LA at home, Breanna Stewart only played 3 minutes. She scores 30. The trick in that game against Dallas is Sabrina Ionescu was coming off not just a 30-point performance, but scored 29 the game before. It's not easy to go 30, 30, 30, right? So frequently. You go back to last season, she plays 2 games without Breanna Stewart. She scored 30 in one and 28 in another. I think she can score 30 tonight. I think it's in line that she gets red hot from 3. She's 3 for 12 from beyond the arc in her last 2 games. I think that we could see those 4 or 5. I think this is step-up style tonight for Sabrina. And because of that, I like the Liberty catching the 7.5 here. I really do. I understand that this is a Lynx bounce back, first loss at home spot. I got you. The Minnesota Lynx team, they are not cover machines. They just aren't. And I'm happy to play a pedigree group like the Liberty who are not going to roll over and die up against anyone, coming off of 2 straight losses now, and especially how they just no-showed the game against the Wings until that 4th quarter. This is a game that at half was 63-36 Dallas. That's not supposed to happen. The Liberty were still 8-point favorites in that game. Now, a 20-3 run to start the 4th quarter that extended into the final 2 minutes, by the way, of that game, all of a sudden gave it some life, but the Liberty no-showed. I think their eyes are on this game against Minnesota. I think Sabrina Ionescu carries the torch, no pun intended, and gets the job done. At 8 o'clock, you're also going to see Wings Dream. Atlanta in a back-to-back where they just lost to the Valkyries. They've been solid on the road, but the Wings, with all that momentum potentially off the Liberty win, I thought this was a tricky one. I stayed off. I was interested in maybe some Enrique. You can play her point, rebound, and assist number if you want. She's coming off of a 14-dime game where maybe she stays in pass-first mode. Maybe they sell out now a little bit more to stop some of the passing lanes, so she just shoots it a little bit more. I think you can play some of those combinations tonight with Enrique Gumbawale if you would like in that game between the Wings and the Dream. I did play the over, 167.5 in Fever Mercury. I think we've got ourselves a little bit of a discount price here due to the Mercury checking in, who are very, very good defensively. I understand that. But I feel as if the Fever are finding a little more rhythm offensively and a little more of their anticipated pace, even in the absence of Caitlin Clark. We saw the 93-78 game against Chicago. We saw double games where they nearly gave up 100 to the Liberty. Phoenix is supremely talented as they take the floor tonight with not only Alyssa Thomas, but it looks like Satu Sable and Kalia Copper are going to be in range here. So I think we get plenty of points. I think either one of these teams could touch 90 tonight. So we're seeing a 167.5. I think that's key, where I think one team could absolutely carry the load here, if you will, as far as the total goes. We still, by the way, just an update, we don't have a timetable yet for Caitlin Clark, who was out, whose most recent game was the 15th, right before that All-Star break. It's a lot of time missed for Clark, but you're going to see, I believe, the Fever be double cautious, because last go-around, where she missed like 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks, all of a sudden they lost her again. And it was kind of questionable. Was she ever really right during that stretch? That's why you're not seeing a timetable. I think she's healthy for the postseason. I don't think I'd promise you she plays basketball in August. I really think that's on the board. We'll take a break here. We'll do a little In Case You Missed It, some top headlines next.
If I have to think long and hard about whether or not you're a Hall of Famer, you're not a Hall of Famer. I don't need to argue stats. I don't need to argue whether or not you are great. If Ichiro Suzuki is not a Hall of Famer, we don't need to have a baseball Hall of Fame. Like, just pack it up and shut it down, because that guy was as good of a hitter as we've ever seen. And he was unbelievable from the first time he stepped onto the field for the Mariners until the end.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Drummond gives you minutes off the bench. I've always been a big Kelly Oubre guy. And Nick Nurse is supposed to be one of the top 5 coaches in the world. You can't tell me that at 12-1, the Philadelphia 76ers aren't at least something you need to consider as a sleeper to make it to the NBA Finals.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
He'll be your reserve, your extra guy here. Listen, we all need that. I say this all the time about outfielders. Most leagues, I don't know about your league, but we start 5 outfielders. Even if you're in a 10-team league, that's 50 outfielders. Plus you got some guys at utility. Plus you got some guys on reserve. 70 outfielders are gone. All right, so outfielders are extremely valuable here. And Moniak, if he's available, is a nice guy to pick up right now.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I feel they're all completely justified. The numbers, they're nearly identical. And speaking of identical, I don't know if you saw that one, Craig. That was pretty wild. From winning their first major to winning their 4th major, both Tiger Woods and Scottie Scheffler completed that task in exactly 1,197 days. Both of them, in the exact amount of days, won their 4th major.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
All right, let's play catch-up here a little bit. Some headlines perhaps you might have missed. One just off the top, because we were just getting going. You were probably like, hold on a second. Let me put my phone down. Let me get Game Time decisions on the TV. So you might have missed the notification where Johan Duran traded from Minnesota to Philadelphia. That's a big deal. The Philadelphia Phillies, when you look at that roster, I think I don't know if anybody can make the case they should be booked in front of the Dodgers. I don't think anyone can make that case. But should the Phillies be shorter than the plus 850 number in the market? You can make that case. Not the only team doing some deals today. Austin Slater. Yeah, I mean, Yanks. I mean, you want to talk about going for it. I mean, Austin Slater, come on down. Get excited, people. That's the New York Yankees for you. I just think that, look, it's not a star-studded deadline, but the Yankees trading for a 236 hitter in Austin Slater to add to their acquisition of Ryan, McMahon, who's hitting 217 for the Rockies, doesn't really inspire a ton of confidence. I think it is trending that when we do our Kevin 7 on Tuesday, we will talk World Series market. Yesterday, we did that. We talked Super Bowl. We're actually going to talk about that list coming up at the top of the hour with Tom Vecchio on our show tonight. I want his thoughts on some of those teams. But it is trending towards us doing some World Series talk in Kevin 7 next week. Right now, if I had to guess, Yankees won't be in it. No matter what the flavor we put on it, I can't imagine a team who right now is tied for the third best odds. I make the case for. But tomorrow's the deadline. Maybe they'll surprise. We also did see Ronald Acuna Jr. end up on the IL. The Braves season is cooked. Absolutely cooked. They are 45-62. They are comfortably worse than the Miami Marlins now. All of the talent on that roster, it's fine. But I think the story of the Atlanta Braves is we had a season in 2023 where every single guy on that team, all the key contributors, had the best season of their career. Acuna's never going 40-70 again. Austin Riley's never hitting 37 homers again. Matt Olson's never hitting 54 homers again. Ozzie Albies, Marcelo Zuna. It was a perfect storm. Michael Harris had a moment where I was like, is this one of the most coveted pieces in Major League Baseball? Michael Harris struggling to crack the everyday lineup for this Braves team. So, to me, I think you've got a situation for Atlanta where they're just going to have to really reevaluate this offseason. And that reevaluation will not, though, impact Acuna Jr.'s status on this team, which means they're going to be real cautious with Ronald Acuna Jr. moving forward. I'm not saying he's played his last game this year. My fantasy team certainly hopes that is not the case. But, over under 30 and a half more games played for Acuna this season. That's the number off the top of my head. Take me to task. You tell me if it's over or under. Some NBA news. Jonathan Kuminga, we're hearing that the Warriors attempted to retain Kuminga at a 2-year, $45 million deal, which is just ridiculous. It is significantly less than the reported numbers that the Phoenix Suns are interested in giving Jonathan Kuminga. And this is one of those situations where I feel bad for the player. Quite frankly, I don't really care what anyone thinks of Kuminga's value. The Golden State Warriors did everything in their power to tank that value. And now they're also trying to get him to sign a multi-year contract where he is getting half of the number a different team is already on the record being willing to pay. The Warriors, with little to no leverage in this situation, are trying to bring in recent round one selections from other teams as well. Devin Carter, Ryan Dunn of Phoenix's name. The whole Warriors thing for me, off-putting. I get it. It's the rules. It's how all the stuff works. But Kuminga wants out, and that should be the result. Will it end up the result? Time will tell. We'll talk to Tom Vecchio. We'll get some Major League Baseball picks and talk a little Kevin 7. Next, we're with you right here on Game Time Decisions.
alive to think long and hard about whether or not you're a Hall of Famer. You're not a Hall of Famer. I don't need to argue stats. I don't need to argue whether or not you are great. If Ichiro Suzuki is not a Hall of Famer, we don't need to have a baseball Hall of Fame. Like, just pack it up and shut it down, because that guy was as good of a hitter as we've ever seen. And he was unbelievable from the first time he stepped onto the field for the Mariners until the end.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Drummond gives you minutes off the bench. I've always been a big Kelly Oubre guy. And Nick Nurse is supposed to be one of the top 5 coaches in the world. You can't tell me that at 12-1, the Philadelphia 76ers aren't at least something you need to consider as a sleeper to make it to the NBA Finals.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
He'll be your reserve, your extra guy here. Listen, we all need that. I say this all the time about outfielders. Most leagues, I don't know about your league, but we start 5 outfielders. Even if you're in a 10-team league, that's 50 outfielders. Plus you got some guys at utility. Plus you got some guys on reserve. 70 outfielders are gone. All right, so outfielders are extremely valuable here. And Moniak, if he's available, is a nice guy to pick up right now.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I feel they're all completely justified. The numbers, they're nearly identical. And speaking of identical, I don't know if you saw that one, Craig. That was pretty wild. From winning their first major to winning their 4th major, both Tiger Woods and Scottie Scheffler completed that task in exactly 1,197 days. Both of them, in the exact amount of days, won their 4th major.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
All right, back to the right here. It's Game Time Decisions live on a Wednesday night. We bring Tom Vecchio into the show here. And, Tom, I want to start on the Major League Baseball board with you. The one game I didn't mention a little bit earlier, we do have the Yankees and the Rays with a first pitch coming up in just a couple of moments. I don't mind the Yanks tonight, but the number looks to be gaining a little bit from around -130, -135 to maybe now up to -145. Did you have any thoughts on Yankees-Rays tonight?
At this point, with a depleted lineup for the Yankees, I don't know how you trust them. I won't say almost outside of when Max Fried starts, but like last night, it wasn't easy for Fried, giving up 3 runs quickly. So, frankly, the best way to play, and this just goes for a lot of teams, like their lineup isn't great right now. Like they are struggling to score runs, and we know that their bullpen isn't good. I would wait for an in-game number. I would wait for an in-game number closer to even money.
Yeah, I think that's valid. I do think they, despite not having Judge in their lineup, are still better than the Rays at home. Will Warren's been good at Yankee Stadium, but that's a lean in that game. At 7:10, Tom, we're going to have the Reds and the Dodgers. And there's a trend going on here. I'm not sure if you are aware of it. Maybe you are.
I am.
Oh, he is.
We spoke about this.
You and I spoke about this? Oh, that's right, we have, because I was complaining to you about Cincinnati. I thought you were going to refer to when Ohtani starts in these games, he's like 1 of 12 or 1 of 15 or whatever. Well, he homered his most recent start because they moved him to the 2-hitter. But the Cincinnati Reds are the only team who have still not been swept yet this season. I did know that. They are 5-0 when they need to win the final game of a series to avoid a sweep. So here we are, opportunity number 6. I'm taking that as enough to get me to the window. I'm playing Cincinnati. Would you zag and say, you know what, they're going to get swept at some point? It's even more reason to like the Dodgers?
Honestly, at this point, I think the number for the Dodgers is prohibitive to bet at -164. I think there's a way to, again, like you could play both sides of it. Like you could get the Reds at plus money now and hope that they do jump out early and then just buy back in at the Dodgers at some point. I like them not getting swept wouldn't surprise me, especially where the number is. Like I would not play -164. So for me, it'd be Reds or pass.
Yeah, I understand that. Ohtani on the mound tonight. And, it's interesting. I talked a lot about his status as MVP favorite. And, one of our producers, people know AJ, you see him give out picks, sharp. He's like, look, at some point, if you are going to keep challenging Ohtani's status, you're going to have to get to the window. On one of these guys, there's big ticket items out there. And I said, look, I think part of it is I'm annoyed that last year Paul Skeens 250 to 1 to win an NL Cy Young at one point was the favorite, and I was never given a cash out option. All these other times you get cash out options, and I couldn't get out of that. I just had to watch it be a great moment until it wasn't. And to me, if I'm going to get involved in an MVP market, basically Tom in August, I do want to be able to think I can win the bet, right? I don't want to just beat a number. And this is a little bit where I feel as if I don't want to say going to your side of it, but I just don't know if they're not going to give the award to Ohtani. This go around, listen, I vehemently do not think he's a minus 2,300 deserving of this number. I don't. But I don't know if I can beat Ohtani with PCA on the back of unbelievable defense. I don't know if that's enough.
Yeah. And that's kind of been my take the whole time. And unfortunately, that's just the reality of the situation. I don't think there's a player out there. Again, the argument that I would make is when Acuna did, and I don't remember the stats off the top of my head, the 40-80 season he had, 58, whatever that was when he had all those
40-73, I think it was.
40-73. There needs to be a player that does something at that level, and or you have a home run hitter such as Judge or Cal Raleigh who does that thing with 55, 60 home runs in the NL. Those are and it's for this year and it's for however many years going forward, Kevin. We're going to be having this conversation every year. Until there's a player that can do those things, it's really tough to say that someone else other than Ohtani won't be winning the award, because there is a human element to it, and there's a fascination of Ohtani hitting and pitching. Even though he may not be the best hitter and he may not be the best pitcher, the fact that he's doing both, that's what's going to garner him the votes. So desperately next year, I want to see Pete Alonso hit 60 home runs, or Acuna do something crazy, or Ellie De La Cruz go for 40 and 80, something to challenge Ohtani.
So, okay, so here's where I'll push back on the, let's call it, next 5-year window. Because a lot of the most notable and expected contenders in this race have not. Soto started the year, obviously not good, right? Acuna wasn't healthy to start the season. It looks like Mookie and Freddie Freeman are done contending for MVPs. Ellie's not ready yet, and now I'm starting to wonder if Tatis will ever be ready. The field, I think, as good as of a season I think PCA is having, I do think it's a bit of an indictment on the field that he has the second best odds and Schwarber has the third best odds. I'm comfortable saying that. I don't think that that's too disrespectful.
So the point is, over the next 5 years, is next year Acuna is fully healthy, right? Start of the year, he's ready to go. Soto, he was fully healthy to start the year. He just started off slow. Pete Alonso, Schwarber, what has to happen in your mind? Because I think it's 60 home runs or something crazy.
So it's interesting, but if you tell me Ohtani wins this MVP, I would be pretty confident he won't win next year. I'm pretty confident he won't go 3 straight. And there's a lot of things that just set up that way. It's hard to go 3 straight. That's when voter fatigue can kick in a little bit more. Injuries can arise. There's a lot of different things that can happen. I think the one reason I've not given up on PCA is Ohtani's candidacy is always, I can do something that no one else can do. And there's 2 things with that. Well, one of the things, the pitching, he's thrown 12 innings. I understand he's going to finish with more, but he's not going to throw 100 innings. That's not happening. But the other thing is, PCA is doing something that Ohtani cannot do flatly. Even if you think Ohtani is a capable fielder, which, by the way, is a question mark. We don't know. He certainly couldn't be by far and away the most impactful defensive player in the sport. Like, I know offense matters than defense in this sport. That's just sports, right? That's how we give out MVPs in every sport. I get that. But when you have Ohtani, that's why being a DH has typically been a deterrent in winning MVP.
So here's my question. Let's say next year PCA has literally the best fielding season an outfielder's ever had, right?
Okay.
But Ohtani pitches 100-plus innings because next year he'll be fully healthy from the start. That's an issue. So Ohtani's going to bat 280, 45 home runs, 100 RBIs, and he's going to have all this volume of innings, but PCA is amazing at the field. That's the conversation next year.
Listen, I do think for PCA, because these things, like, here's all I'm saying, okay? Ohtani's winning the award right now based on the offensive season he's having. He does have the same batting average as PCA. I know, I'm sure you hate batting average. I'm just saying Ohtani is having a down season in some metrics. Let's talk some Super Bowl with Tom next.
Mets are getting Helsley.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes.
The phrase I want to use is just simply saying,
adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today.
A raging hard on.
Join the fun where winners play and players win.
There's literally no other way to put it in my mind. Like, they are just bricked up talking about Ohtani. And what that again, but it's like people are just fascinated and be like, oh, he's pitching and hitting. Oh my God, we have to write about it. He's going to win MVP. And they're.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5 points live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Game Time Decisions with you here on a Wednesday night. Not used to saying that, but we're here with you on this Wednesday night, and that will be the case. I'm with Tom Vecchio, and yesterday we debuted Kevin 7. We were looking at Super Bowl future possibilities. Nothing's locked in. Nothing's decided. But there are 7 teams who I think I could see myself, Tom, ending up with as my pick win the Super Bowl. So let's remind the people who those 7 teams were. This is just odds descending order, okay? Baltimore, Philadelphia, Detroit, Washington, San Francisco, the Chargers of Los Angeles, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. When you see those 7, what jumps out to you first, Tom?
The Chargers, because Justin Herbert can win in the playoffs. So that's number one. I would never back that. I would also say that there's obviously an argument to be made that him winning a game, sure, that could happen, but I don't think they'll win the division. I know you're not super high on the Chargers overall, but I still don't think that they're the best team in their own division. So that means they don't have a home playoff game to start. That's an issue for me. I certainly do like Tampa. Personally, I'm just very high on Tampa this season. And then the 49ers, as we were talking about earlier today, the 49ers have a very easy strength of schedule. And there's an argument to be made that they are, in competition to win the division. I'm not sure if they're as good as the Rams right now, but I still wouldn't book them as one of the best teams in the NFC. I would absolutely have the Eagles, Lions, and Commanders ahead of them. But I understand a play on the 49ers price at this point, essentially.
So let's go one by one there. We'll start with the Chargers. The Herbert postseason stuff, you kind of pros and cons it, and the Herbert postseason stuff.
There's pros for Herbert in the postseason?
No, pros and cons, I mean each team on the list.
Okay, I was going to say,
right?
there's no pros for Justin Herbert in the playoffs.
No, 100% true. Right, but if I were to give you pros on the Chargers, I think Harbaugh is probably one of the 5 best coaches in football. I think there's a pretty decent case that he's actually a better coach than his brother. I think the offensive line this season should be one of the best in the league. I think it's often underrated when you go through a lot of those lists. It's actually very Philly-esque, right? 2 superstar tackles and Alton Slater. Mekhi Becton's there now. So there's a lot to like there. I think the value of a really talented running back on a really talented offense, I don't know if everyone's understood the formula. We act like Saquon Barkley's 2,000 yards is Saquon Barkley's never had a season obviously that good. Hurts is a product of the system, but Saquon is the system. Weird. Again, you put Derrick Henry in Baltimore, it's oh look, the best season he's ever had, at least efficiency wise. Amarion Hampton to me, Tom. You can take this into props, rookie of the year odds, or even fantasy. I think it's absolutely on the board. He has a better season than Ashton Genty.
Okay.
So I think there's a lot of pros for the Chargers. The negative is, let's say they win the division. It still doesn't mean Justin Herbert's good. Justin Herbert's been favorite in both playoff games he's played in. So that doesn't matter. The Herbert stuff is a drawback, I guess. Are you giving up on the idea he'll ever have a playoff run? You're I've seen enough. No. It's not happening?
No, of course not. He has the talent. He's had talented players around him when he has got, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen when they lost the Jags years ago. Austin Eckler. They have talent around him, but, I don't want to buy into a price that I just object to. Even if he has a good season, I still don't think. I wouldn't put him in a top 3 quarterback in the AFC. So, I just don't want to buy in at this point.
All right, fair enough. Not in on the Chargers. You said you could see yourself in on Tampa Bay.
Yeah. I like Tampa. I like the talent. I think they can win their division. They're hosting a home playoff game at that point. Do I think that they're better than Philly or Detroit? They're not better than Philly, but I have some drawbacks on Detroit just because, losing your OC and DC in the same season, there could be some struggles for them. I think Detroit will confidently make the playoffs, but I don't know how good they'll be compared to last year.
What do you think of Todd Bowles?
I think he's a great defensive coach, but, obviously there's drawbacks with Tampa. Liam Cohen, not there anymore, right? Does
Todd Bowles feel like a Super Bowl winning coach to you?
Yeah, if he has a really good offensive coordinator. Which again, it's you don't need him to. You need him to manage the game for what he knows how to do.
Right. I mean, I think there were moments last year he, kicked up his aggressiveness. Here's the push and pull I have with the Liam Cohen piece. Dave Canales was there 2 seasons ago. Baker was really good. And people then, when Canales left, took that to, let's worry about Tampa Bay. And I'm sure you saw it, Tom. Carolina last year was the hot, trendy team. Whoa! Oh, they're this year's Texans breakout. No, that team was terrible. And they weren't just terrible because Derek Brown got injured, okay? Let's be very clear. That team stunk. So now we have Liam Cohen leaving, and I don't want to forget that we had some worries when Canales left, but I also feel as if Liam Cohen impressed a lot more than Dave Canales did because they were significantly better. Has anybody checked in with Panther fans that the Bucs were actually much better on offense year over year with Cohen as the guy? I don't know if they've checked in. So I'm having a push and pull, Tom, on how impactful that's going to be. I think my biggest worry, I don't know if it's my biggest worry. I'm very worried about the Tristan Wirfs 4 weeks absence, maybe, though. Because Tristan Wirfs is so good.
Yeah, it's definitely not a not issue, or it's not a non-issue, I should say. It's a huge issue, especially the dynamic that they have in the backfield with, Bucky Irving, who I think we both agree on is absolutely fantastic. And then, having a great set of receivers, obviously you need to give Baker time. And yeah, we know that Baker is prone to mistakes at times, and limiting his safety in the pocket will extrapolate those issues. And if Wirfs comes back and he's not fully healthy, not ready to go, that will make things worse. But I do think they are the best in the division.
All right, we're going to hit a break here. We'll update the baseball board. I want to get a couple of more thoughts from Tom on the Niners who stood out to him. We're with you. It is Game Time Decisions live on SportsGrid.
5 to think long and hard about whether or not you're a Hall of Famer. You're not a Hall of Famer. I don't need to argue stats. I don't need to argue whether or not you are great. If Ichiro Suzuki is not a Hall of Famer, we don't need to have a baseball Hall of Fame. Just pack it up and shut it down, because that guy was as good of a hitter as we've ever seen. And he was unbelievable from the first time he stepped onto the field for the Mariners until the end.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Drummond gives you minutes off the bench. I've always been a big Kelly Oubre guy. And Nick Nurse is supposed to be one of the top 5 coaches in the world. You can't tell me that at 12-1, the Philadelphia 76ers aren't at least something you need to consider as a sleeper to make it to the NBA Finals.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
He'll be your reserve, your extra guy here. Listen, we all need that. I say this all the time about outfielders. Most leagues, I don't know about your league, but we start 5 outfielders. Even if you're in a 10-team league, that's 50 outfielders. Plus you got some guys at utility. Plus you got some guys on reserve. 70 outfielders are gone. All right, so outfielders are extremely valuable here. And Moniak, if he's available, is a nice guy to pick up right now.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I feel they're all completely justified. The numbers, they're nearly identical. And speaking of identical, I don't know if you saw that one, Craig. That was pretty wild. From winning their first major to winning their 4th major, both Tiger Woods and Scottie Scheffler completed that task in exactly 1,197 days. Both of them, in the exact amount of days, won their 4th major.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
We've got runs in the main event. Reds take the first run of the game against Ohtani. Ellie De La Cruz with an RBI single. Gavin Lux, the former Dodger, had a leadoff double in that game. So the Reds now are up early against the Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani yesterday, Golden Sombrero. Good news for Ohtani. Didn't strike out his first at-bat. Is out, though. So by the end of this game, might have a worse batting average than PCA. The Yerfie did come in in the Guardians and Rockies game as well, because David Fry hit a 2-run homer in that one. Jose Ramirez was on base because Jose Ramirez continues to be absolutely fantastic at baseball. It's a nerfy in Yanks-Rays coming off of an over yesterday and a Yankees victory. No runs in the first inning to start that one. The next upcoming games on the baseball board are 7:45 St. Louis and Miami, and then nothing else a little bit later until 9:40. Though that game, Angels-Rangers, our guy Tom Vecchio is involved in. Tom, tell us how you're going to play the game between L.A. and Texas.
Rangers money line. Super simple. Nate Eovaldi is a great pitcher. Jose Soriano on the other side is like such an interesting pitcher where, you know, if you told me a pitcher, Kevin, if you said you're like, listen, he's got a 30% ground ball rate, I'd be like, bam, that's crazy, right? And, or I should say, excuse me, not 30% ground ball rate. I would say he allows a 30% fly ball rate. I'm like, that's super low. And then be like, whoa, it's 25. Like, Soriano's down at a 16% fly ball rate this year. It's so low. However, that means he pitches the contact and gives up tons of singles and doubles. He also has a walk rate that's over 10%. So if you're allowing runners on base for free and you're just giving up a ton of singles and doubles, you have the propensity to get hit around a ton. And the Rangers are simply the better team compared to the Angels. So Rangers money line, they lost the series, but they come through with the win and avoid the sweep with Eovaldi on the mound.
All right, let's go back to Kevin Seven here, Tom. The Niners, you said, jumped out to you, where you mentioned something that I'm certainly it's in the pro column, the price. At 20-1, a team who routinely would be, you know, I believe after the Super Bowl loss to Kansas City entering into last season, they were actually the Niners booked as Super Bowl favorites. Now, they're not as good because Debo's gone. McCaffrey's a huge question mark. Couple of pieces on defense left. But Salah coming back is big. I think it's pretty easy to say McCaffrey will be better this year than he was last year because he's going to, I think, play a little bit more. Kittle's still a star. Warner's still a star. Bosa's still a star. I like Michael Williams that they got in round number 1. That 20-1 price is singing. It feels like one of those where you're going, I'm getting a good number on this team.
You really are. And, you know, again, McCaffrey will be better, just out there for more games. You know, the IQ coming back from injury is one thing. I think I'm, you know, personally, I'm very high on Ricky Pearsall. I have him on a dynasty team, so I want to see him expand. But you know, you give me Kittle, McCaffrey out there, Ayuk when he comes back, Pearsall. It's like, okay, you have enough parts to make the offense move. And obviously with Purdy at the helm, I think they will be in a good spot. There's like a part of me that says, like, I think this is a great number because I think the 49ers will be a public team. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that they will start to garner a lot of money, and then the books will move their number, not just because if they're playing well, they start off strong, but also just because they have so much, again, that public money, like there's historic success there to a degree that the books will over move their number just to, you know, avoid risk, right? It's a risk aversion thing. So it starts at 21, but before you know, it's down to 11-1 after 6 weeks because they're 5-1, and you are getting a better number because A, they're playing well, and B, the books have to move the number.
Yeah, the reality of the Niners, it's, you know, who I don't want to pick Dallas, for example. You could make a case on Dallas, the number. I don't think Dallas has any chance to win the Super Bowl. I want to believe this team has a chance to win a Super Bowl on top of getting a really good number. Yeah. Kyle Shanahan is not Justin Herbert, but Kyle Shanahan gets to a Super Bowl, gets a double-digit lead, and then loses that game. 3 for 3 so far, once as an offensive coordinator. And that is one of the things that pulls me. We're speaking of Brady next, by the way, who's a Niner fan, so I don't want to put him on unsettled waters before we talk to him. But the Shanahan stuff, Tom, it leaves me a little unsettled.
It does. And, like, there's positives and negatives with every single team on here. Like, even Baltimore. You know, even Buffalo, like you could say that you have your issues because of X, Y, and Z, but you have to believe in the number and the team. It can't just be one or the other.
Yeah, I think that is well said. Tom, we will check in again soon, I am sure. We'll talk to Brady Cannon next right here on SportsGrid.
if I have to think long and hard about whether or not you're a Hall of Famer, you're not a Hall of Famer. I don't need to argue stats. I don't need to argue whether or not you are great. If Ichiro Suzuki is not a Hall of Famer, we don't need to have a baseball Hall of Fame. Like, just pack it up and shut it down, because that guy was as good of a hitter as we've ever seen. And he was unbelievable from the first time he stepped onto the field for the Mariners until the end.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Drummond gives you minutes off the bench. I've always been a big Kelly Oubre guy. And Nick Nurse is supposed to be one of the top 5 coaches in the world. You can't tell me that at 12-1, the Philadelphia 76ers aren't at least something you need to consider as a sleeper to make it to the NBA Finals.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
He'll be your reserve, your extra guy here. Listen, we all need that. I say this all the time about outfielders. Most leagues, I don't know about your league, but we start 5 outfielders. Even if you're in a 10-team league, that's 50 outfielders. Plus you got some guys at utility. Plus you got some guys on reserve. 70 outfielders are gone. All right, so outfielders are extremely valuable here. And Moniak, if he's available, is a nice guy to pick up right now.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I feel they're all completely justified. The numbers, they're nearly identical. And speaking of identical, I don't know if you saw that one, Craig. That was pretty wild. From winning their first major to winning their 4th major, both Tiger Woods and Scottie Scheffler completed that task in exactly 1,197 days. Both of them, in the exact amount of days, won their 4th major.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions with you on a Wednesday night. Major League Baseball board right now with a couple live. That White Sox-Phillies game is currently bottom 7 with the White Sox threatening as they tied that game up at 2 apiece. So we'll keep our eyes there. We've also got a high-scoring first quarter in Mercury Fever, which is nice to see. We're betting on some basketball. We're betting on some baseball. But tomorrow, as always, it's a Thursday. We'll be betting on some golf. That means we've got to talk to Brady Cannon. Which is great to have Brady here. And Brady, it's always good when we've got another golf tournament to get involved with.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And this is a biggie. It felt like we kind of had a letdown after the season's final major championship. But this is where it really starts for a lot of guys, just trying to keep their job. You got the top after the Wyndham Championship is over on Sunday afternoon. You'll have the top 70 players in the FedEx Cup point standings make it to the playoffs. And then once you go through the fall season, it's the top 100 on that FedEx list that will keep their card for the 2026 season. When you get to the Tour Championship, the final 50 guys on that list automatically qualify for the signature events. And on top of all that, we've got the Ryder Cup with plenty of open spots still, up for grabs. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the next few months in the world of golf.
Yeah, there absolutely is, and it'll be good for us to have the stars out there. The Wyndham Championship, which is coming up this week, it's not a star-studded field, but it makes it exciting to bet. We're starting tournaments at 20-1, 22-1. It means that your chalk picks are going to have really, really nice payouts. So let's start at the top of that board. Is anybody in the 30-1 or less range worth the price to you?
Well, I know a lot of sharp people that like Matt Fitzpatrick this week. He's been playing great golf. He's been on a nice run for the last couple of months, did really well at the Scottish Open, British Open, PGA, you name it. He's been on a nice run, and he's trying to make that European Ryder Cup squad. So he needs to keep his pedal to the metal. And he didn't make my card, but I went not too long after that with Robert McIntyre. I got him at 35. He's pretty much readily available at 30 right now. Maybe you can find a 31 or a 32. He's been really just as hot as Fitzpatrick. Was runner-up at the U.S. Open, 7th at the British Open. Guy hasn't missed the cut since the Masters. He's already on that Ryder Cup squad. I believe he's second in the European points, just behind Rory McIlroy. So he doesn't have too much to worry about. He's solidified his position in the postseason. So I think he can get out here and just, without any pressure, and just play golf and get that game in shape for, probably the Ryder Cup and the playoffs, what he's looking to gear towards. And he does everything that I want here. Accuracy favors distance off the tee here, Kevin, and he's very accurate off the tee. And it's a bit of a birdie fest. The winning score proposition is 20 and a half under par. And Bobby Mack makes a bunch of birdies. He's got a tremendous short game. So, he fits the profile, and you can get him at almost twice the price as Fitzpatrick. So I went with the Scotsman over the Englishman.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense there. I'm seeing, again, all books are moving, numbers move. I'm seeing the 30 to 1 right now number on Robert McIntyre. When you just Brady, for people who want to get involved in these tournaments as they go on, when you have a winning score that high, does that then for you feel that it's up for grabs a little bit longer? Because anyone could go out there and have a blazing type of day, an 8 under, a 9 under out of nowhere?
A la Kurt Kitayama last week? Absolutely. No, I think a birdie fest brings more randomness into it.
Okay.
They'll say it becomes a putting contest. Now, this is a pretty darn good golf course and a darn good golf tournament. And I don't want to, take away any credit from this course and say it's just a putting contest. It's really not. It's the two types of players we typically see win here are ball strikers and or putters. You get Kevin Kistner, and then you get, Russell Henley, and Aaron Rai last year is a perfect example of a ball striker. And the year before that, Lucas Glover. And then, you find a guy like Robert McIntyre that can putt and is a ball striker. That's a great combination. But yeah, I think the more wayward the scores go. I mean, you've seen it a couple times already this season, right, Kevin? When you get 8, 9, 10 under par winning, that usually goes to our boy Scotty Scheffler. That means it's hard. When you have, 20 something under par winning this thing, it becomes a little bit more random.
Yeah. All right. So let's continue to work down this board here, Brady. Who else is starting to jump out to you for the Wyndham Championship?
Well, I mentioned Bobby Mack, and I mentioned Lucas Glover as well. I played him at 39. I've seen him anywhere from 30 to 35. He won here a couple of years ago. He's been top 10 or better at all of our correlated courses, including the John Deere, where he won in 2021, and he's having a fantastic season. Third at the Players, ninth at the Travelers Championship, fifth at the John Deere, and just recently 23rd at the British Open. Harry Hall at 40 to 1, trying for back-to-back UNLV Rebel winners here. I mentioned Kitayama last week. This guy can putt the lights out. He's really good on approach from about 100 to 175 yards. That's where most of the approach shots are going to come this week. Akshay Bhatia at 40 to 1. Fits that mold of a fantastic putter, very accurate off the tee, and a great ball striker. He was tied for the 54-hole lead last week in Minnesota and then really came apart on Sunday. But this guy has been there and done that a couple times. He's won on the PGA Tour already in his career a couple times. So I expect him to bounce back. I think he's going to be okay this week, even off of that, bad finish last week. I mean, he played 3 out of 4 rounds brilliantly, and I think he'll be back for more this week. Christian Bezuidenhout at 55 to 1. Again, fits that profile of everything that we like here. Accuracy, short game, putting. He's also been playing really, really well as of late. And here's another little nugget for you, Kev. He is 74th in the FedEx Cup standings. So he knows he has to get to 70 or better, right? And I'm not throwing all my eggs in that handicap basket, but obviously there's motivation for him to continue to play the way he's been playing the last couple of months. Andrew Novak at 66 to 1, great ball striker who can really putt. Lost in a playoff at one of our correlated courses earlier this year, the RBC Heritage. And then finally, Chris Kirk, who I know our buddy Keith Stewart likes this week too, 95 to 1 on Kirk, who we just missed few weeks ago lost in a playoff at the Rocket Mortgage, which, by the way, is another Donald Ross design, just like we have here this week. Another guy that is absolutely dialed in with the wedges from about 100 to 150 yards. I thought 95-1 was pretty high on a guy that's playing very good golf right now, and another guy that's right on the bubble there, 73rd in the FedEx Cup standings.
We love the opportunity to, see some of those close to 100-1 shots come in for these golf tournaments. We're going to keep Brady around. We're going to talk some football in our next segment, but I did want to ask you about one guy specifically, Brady. Just as I was, looking through the list of names, seeing Hideki at 33, I would have just, if when I look at the field, I would have thought that number maybe would have been a tick shorter. What was your read on Matsuyama coming into this tournament?
It's a great call, Kev. And a friend of the program, Pat Mayo, does a great job, friends with Cam Stewart from north of the border. He basically made the same point. And I had my eyes on Hideki too. You could argue that Hideki Matsuyama is maybe far and away the best player in this field. So why isn't he 20-1 like Fitzpatrick? Now, the game hasn't been perfect as of late, but, he probably is the most decorated player, maybe the very best player in this field. And you're spot on. 35 or so, that's a pretty juicy price on an awful good player.
I like when my instincts then, put me in the right direction. That puts a smile on my face. Again, for anyone who doesn't know, Brady and football, they do go actually about as hand in hand as Brady and golf. I know it's Las Vegas golfer, not Las Vegas, quarterback, but we're going to talk some football with Brady next, right here. It's Game Time Decisions.
If I have to think long and hard about whether or not you're a Hall of Famer, you're not a Hall of Famer. I don't need to argue stats. I don't need to argue whether or not you are great. If Ichiro Suzuki is not a Hall of Famer, we don't need to have a baseball Hall of Fame. Like, just pack it up and shut it down, because that guy was as good of a hitter as we've ever seen. And he was unbelievable from the first time he stepped onto the field for the Mariners until the end.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Drummond gives you minutes off the bench. I've always been a big Kelly Oubre guy. And Nick Nurse is supposed to be one of the top 5 coaches in the world. You can't tell me that at 12-1, the Philadelphia 76ers aren't at least something you need to consider as a sleeper to make it to the NBA Finals.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
He'll be your reserve, your extra guy here. Listen, we all need that. I say this all the time about outfielders. Most leagues, I don't know about your league, but we start 5 outfielders. Even if you're in a 10-team league, that's 50 outfielders. Plus you got some guys at utility. Plus you got some guys on reserve. 70 outfielders are gone. All right, so outfielders are extremely valuable here. And Moniak, if he's available, is a nice guy to pick up right now.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid.
I feel they're all completely justified. The numbers, they're nearly identical. And speaking of identical, I don't know if you saw that one, Craig. That was pretty wild. From winning their first major to winning their 4th major, both Tiger Woods and Scottie Scheffler completed that task in exactly 1,197 days. Both of them, in the exact amount of days, won their 4th major.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
All right, we're back with you right here on SportsGrid. It is Game Time Decisions on a Wednesday night. Not a lot of movement on this baseball board outside of the White Sox pouring it on the Philadelphia Phillies. They're going to take this series from Philly, it looks, which is a missed opportunity for the Phils, who are trying to catch the Mets, who were just swept by the Padres. It's kind of no blood here, basically, if you're the Mets, because of the way the Phils have not been able to take advantage of a setup against the Southsiders. That's just where things are right now. Guardians tacked on another against the Rockies. We're with Brady Cannon, and look, we're following the live action with you here, but you can just tell the excitement that is gaining for football season. And Brady, again, you've had some very noteworthy success betting football, and you're going to take that experience and expertise into the podcast game, which people will be able to catch here on SportsGrid. Can you let people know a little bit about what we can expect this upcoming football season?
Yeah, it is football contest season. Just like it's football season, it's also football contest season, especially out here in Las Vegas. You've got, Circa Sports and the Circa Million and the Circa Survivor. I don't know if you've heard, Kevin, but this year they've introduced the Grandissimo Circa Survivor, which is a $100,000 entry fee. They've already got 15 entries. They guaranteed 1.5 million payout, and they've already gotten that in entries. They've already had 15, maybe 18 entries sign up for that $100,000 Grandissimo Survivor contest. And then the Super Book, where I won the Super Contest many years ago, they're going to get into the Survivor game as well for a $5,000 entry. And they're also introducing a $500 college football contest, which I think is going to be really cool. Might see if Joe Lisi wants to come out and sign up for that. So contest season is here. We introduced a show last year, myself and another Super Contest winner, James Salinas, and then a former professional football player, Mike Pritchard, #1 draft choice many years ago. The three of us all play in these contests, and we did a show about it, and SportsGrid aired it, and we're back for season 2. We get started on August 22nd. We'll be at Circa at Radio Row, and just getting the feet wet for contest season and, strategy and all that type of thing. And Kevin, you probably know this, or I'm sure you can understand it. Playing in a football contest is not always the exact same as betting football games. There's game theory and contest strategy involved, and we try and go over that, not only breaking down the games and telling you what side we like, but how are we going to maneuver that within the contest as well.
And that's the game-changing piece of why, if you are in any of those contests, you have to listen, because unless you're in them and you've been in them for years, you probably just kind of can't understand those specifics. And what I'll also say, I think, just for football bettors out there, I think there are certainly a lot of people who will occasionally sometimes fall a little too much into the props market. And I think I'm really just speaking about myself, but I know what happens to, honestly, Brady, where I feel like last season I was enjoying betting sides so frequently in the beginning of the year, and then you miss out on numbers. Like, you know what? Let's just bet Drake London for, over 64.5. And it's like, well, hold on a second now. Is that where we need to be? And I think even if you're not in those contests, Brady, you can follow along, and people use it as a bar, a metric to track, I think, often for themselves how they would do or stack up against, and it'll make them a better because when you have to land inside the lines of those contests, again, you'll treat it really seriously.
Well, you bring up a good point, and there's another angle along those lines. I don't know, there are people that will just bet against the consensus every week. So you've got 5 picks that you have to make against the spread in the Westgate Super Contest and the Circa Millions. Those are both basically an identical contest. That's the one that I won many years ago. Make 5 picks against the spread, and they will release before the games start, Sunday morning, Saturday night, whatever. They will release what the 5 most popular picks are. And I want to say it was about halfway through the season last year. And if all you did was fade the consensus, if all you did was go opposite the consensus, you were hitting about 65%. So the point is there, oftentimes the most popular plays, are not the best ones. It's kind of like sports betting in general. You kind of want to tend to be contrarian or in the minority. And if you just go against the masses, sometimes you can be successful. So there's that in what you can garner from the contest results as well.
Yeah, I think I do find it's always very tricky because you grow up and you learn, like, be careful if everyone's on one side. But then you get in a business like this, right, Brady? And you're around people who are smart and you trust. And you're like, everyone's on that side. You're like, well, hold on a second. Maybe that's the right side. Maybe that's okay that these
Do you mean we second guess ourselves in this business? No,
I
that
think
doesn't
I do.
happen, does it?
I think I do. I'll tell you this, by the way, Brady. If you want to pitch Lisi on getting involved, just tell him that they released the 5 public plays, and that is all you need to lure him in. That guy loves an opportunity to go against the field if it's presented to him, which will be great. That is fantastic.
You might have to team up with him, man. The Walsh and Lisi entry for the Westgate Super Contest college football style. I'd love to see it. I'll turn in the picks for you, man. I'll be your proxy. Or maybe Sherapan. What am I doing? Trying to steal business from him?
Remind people, Brady, it's week 1 for each season?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
They start with week 1. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. I didn't know the week 0 stuff with the college football.
Yeah, I believe the college is also, quote unquote, week 1.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. Making sure. Man, it's close. It is close. Yeah. It is going to be here before we know it. Let's remind people before we let Brady go, the Wyndham Championship, we'll show them up again, the outright winners, though, for Brady. This is good. It begins. Those are the overall odds, but Brady's card, it begins with Robert McIntyre. It ends with Chris Kirk. A lot of good options. Brady, we really appreciate it.
You bet, my friend. Always good to be with you. And let's cash some tickets here at the Wyndham so we can build that bankroll for football season. How about that?
Exactly the plan. You can then start to play the Justin Jefferson over season-long receiving yards. I don't want to give away too much. All right, we'll be right back with you here on SportsGrid.
If I have to think long and hard about whether or not you're a Hall of Famer, you're not a Hall of Famer. I don't need to argue stats. I don't need to argue whether or not you are great. If Ichiro Suzuki is not a Hall of Famer, we don't need to have a baseball Hall of Fame. Like, just pack it up and shut it down, because that guy was as good of a hitter as we've ever seen. And he was unbelievable from the first time he stepped onto the field for the Mariners until the end.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Drummond gives you minutes off the bench. I've always been a big Kelly Oubre guy. And Nick Nurse is supposed to be one of the top 5 coaches in the world. You can't tell me that at 12-1, the Philadelphia 76ers aren't at least something you need to consider as a sleeper to make it to the NBA Finals.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
He'll be your reserve, your extra guy here. Listen, we all need that. I say this all the time about outfielders. Most leagues, I don't know about your league, but we start 5 outfielders. Even if you're in a 10-team league, that's 50 outfielders. Plus you got some guys at utility. Plus you got some guys on reserve. 70 outfielders are gone. All right, so outfielders are extremely valuable here. And Moniak, if he's available, is a nice guy to pick up right now.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I feel they're all completely justified. The numbers, they're nearly identical. And speaking of identical, I don't know if you saw that one, Craig. That was pretty wild. From winning their first major to winning their 4th major, both Tiger Woods and Scottie Scheffler completed that task in exactly 1,197 days. Both of them, in the exact amount of days, won their 4th major.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
We're back with you right here on SportsGrid, and some more of these details come out. And again, we have a strong baseball team here, and they know that if I see something with some prospects, I might ramp things up to 100. They're like, easy, easy. You might be confused. I'm just saying, I know I like the Johan Duran trade for the Phillies. And I really don't care about Mick Abel. I'll be honest with you. I really don't care. Eduardo Tate, that's the centerpiece, right? Okay. Let me know. Let me know when that matters. We'll find out. I'm sure it'll be any day now. Let's update you on the live board here. I can't help myself. One more time. Rays did strike first against the Yankees, so that is 1-0 Tampa Bay. But Yanks with an opportunity here after a Ryan McMahon leadoff double to potentially grab one back. 9-2 White Sox. They are absolutely laying it on the Philadelphia Phillies here. Good for Chicago as they are about to get win number 40 on the season. Still 3-0 right now for the Guardians. Still 1-0 right now for the Reds. Ohtani goes 3 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, 4 strikeouts. So in that, the ERA is up a tick. It kind of just shows how much we've not actually seen from Ohtani this season in terms of a pitcher. He's now 15 innings in to the season. Not a lot, but again, it's still obviously impactful. Those are a solid 3 innings. He's a high-level opener right now. 43 pitches. I doubt he pitches the bottom of the 4th, but we'll see. It's not out of the question. Ohtani has not recorded a hit, so he's now hitting 271 on the season. Miami trying to strike here against Miles Mikolas. We could use a 2-out hit. How are we not scoring from second? Sanchez, and it doesn't come. That's a missed opportunity to put some runs up there against Miles Mikolas. That is a shame. The remaining action for me on the baseball board is going to be a combined case prop for Soriano and Eovaldi of 12 at plus 110. And then in the best bet section, AJ has you covered for A's Mariners. He's on under 9.5 for that baseball game. Rooting the Ellie Steele. Could have had it in the first inning. Didn't try to swipe one. Hopefully we get another opportunity there at a nice plus 245 price for Ellie De La Cruz. The latest in the W, we've got a really high-scoring game right now between Phoenix and Indiana, which is fantastic. Live totals 186.5, up nearly 20 points from its open. 47-45, the Fever lead in this one. Right now, let's see who's doing damage in this game. And it is Ari McDonald with 17 right now for the Fever, 12 for Alyssa Thomas, and 12 for Kalia Copper. So right now, the Fever in the lead, but not by a ton. We've got 2 more games in the WNBA still to come tonight, and one of them is a WNBA Finals rematch, the Minnesota Lynx and the New York Liberty. It looks like there's been a little bite in some areas on the Liberty at 7.5. It's still out there. I played the Liberty at 7.5, down to 7 in some spots. I think they step up. They've lost 2 in a row, including a clear no-show against Dallas. I think they've had their eyes on this game. I understand the Lynx just lost for the first time at home. It's not going to be easy to win this game for the Liberty, but this is a Lynx team I've seen plenty of times win and not cover this season. They lay big numbers. It's a good basketball team. They're laying a big number here. I think the Liberty are live. I think they cover the 7.5. I think that is all behind the efforts of Sabrina Ionescu. She did not step up for those who played her over the 21.5, 22.5 against Dallas. I think in part it was because she had entered not only off of a 30-point performance, but a 29-point performance the game prior to that. But still, in large part, when Sab has played, since Stewie has been added to this Liberty team, without Breanna Stewart, she scores big time. There's a WNBA boost out there. Hey, my boost levels are dropping. They're treating me like DRS. I played it for 30-plus with the boost. I got it up to like 10-1. I think Sabrina Ionescu for 20-plus points is a fantastic little price there, and I think she soars through that number in a WNBA Finals rematch, which I know in-game live with Scott Wetzel and Gabe Morency will have you covered, and they're up next.